we're at the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr. He said, وَلَهُ وَصَحَّهُ أَنَ Abdullah ibn Amr رضي الله عنه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال, that it comes Abdullah ibn Amr رضي الله عنه, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, يقال لصاحب القرآن, it will be said to the companion of the Quran, اقرأ وارتقي ورتل, that read, recite, and raise in levels, وَرَتِّلْ كَمَا كُنْتَ تُرَتِّلُ فِي الدُّنْيَا, and recite as you used to recite in the dunya, فَإِنَّ مَنْزِلَتَكَ عِنْدَ آخِرِ آيَةٍ تَقْرَأُ بِهَا, for your status is with the last verse that you read. What is that? Is that the last verse that you read? And it says, وَلِأَحْمَدٍ نَهُهُ مِنْ حَدِيثِ أَبِي سَعِيدٍ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُ وَفِيهِ فَيَقْرَأُ وَيَسْعَدُ بِكُلِّ آيَةٍ دَرَجَةٍ حَتَّى يَقْرَأُ آخِرَ شَيْءٍ مَعَهُ, that he reads and he raises with every ayah in levels until he reads the last of that which is with him. Both of the hadith are authentic from the Prophet ﷺ. As Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anh, he is Abu Muhammad Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As al-Qurashi. He is a companion and his father was also a companion. Amr ibn al-As is also a companion. And they say that he accepted Islam before his father. That this young man, Abdullah, accepted Islam before his father. And he was a man who was young and strong, and he was from the worshippers of the Sahaba. Until Shurkan rahimullah nicknamed him Abidul Sahaba, the worshipper of the Sahaba. The worshipper amongst Sahaba was Abdullah ibn al-As radiallahu anh. And it's well known that many of the hadith which come regarding how many days you should read the Quran in, or how many days you should fast, they come based upon the question of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anh asked the Prophet ﷺ, due to he's found strength in himself to do more than that which other people are doing. So he's from the Abid al-Sahaba, the worshipper. He's the worshipper of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. And he was one who used to write the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He used to actually write the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And he's considered from the Abadila. And we mentioned the Abadila before. Who are they? Who are the Abadila? If it's said by Al-Bayhaqi and other than them that this is a statement of the Abadila, then what is intended? How many are there and who are intended? There's four of them, and who are they? Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, the Sahabi. Who else? No, Abdullah. His name Abdullah. Aisha. No, Afwan. No, not Mas'ud. Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and Abdullah ibn Zubair. These are four called Al-Abadila. Al-Abadila means that they have the name Abdullah. As Abdullah Mas'ud radiallahu anh is not considered from them because he died at early. He died at the year 32 after the Hijrah, which is early. As for these four Sahaba, their knowledge stayed and they died later on. So if it is said that this is a statement of the Abadila, what is intended is those four Sahaba. And he narrated many hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, but he did not reach the number 1,000. He did not reach 1,000 narrations. As for when he passed away, then they differed highly regarding it. As for the hadith, it says yuqal, meaning it will be said to this person when he enters Jannah. The Sahib al-Qur'an, to the companion of the Qur'an. The companion of the Qur'an is two types. One is one who memorizes it and acts in accordance to it. The second one is one who recites it and acts in accordance to it. This is the companion of the Qur'an. And the Shaykh mentions that what is apparent is that what is intended is the first one, the one who memorizes the Qur'an and acts in accordance to it, is the one who this hadith is regarding. For he is better than the one who does not memorize, for he has an increase of knowledge. And the Prophet ﷺ used to say, يَعُمُّ الْقَوْمَ أَقْرَأُهُمْ لِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ. The one who leads the prayer is the one who memorizes the most from the book of Allah. He says, as for the one who memorizes the Qur'an, but does not act in accordance to it, then he is not from the companions of the Qur'an. The one who memorizes the Qur'an, but does not act in accordance to it, is not a companion of the Qur'an. For the consideration is actions and not merely memorizing. The consideration taken here is acting in accordance to the Qur'an and not merely memorizing it or reciting it. Iqra, meaning the Qur'an out of your memory. Wartaqi, meaning raise in levels in Jannah and nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Warattil, meaning in Jannah, kama kunta turatilu fi dunya, as you used to recite in the dunya. And we'll come to know a tartil, what is intended, but it's a recitation which does not have any speed to it, does not have much speed to it. And you come with all the rules of a tajweed, with the huruf and the mudud, and other than this. And this is the kind of form of recitation Allah commands us with in the Quran. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. As for فَإِنَّ مَنْزِلَتَكَ, that your status and level will be with the last verse that you recited, meaning that you'll be raised in levels in the hereafter based upon the amount of recitation that you had, based upon how much you memorized and recited. Now the question may arise, are there levels in Jannah? yes, there's levels in Jannah. How many levels are they? We do not know the exact number. It comes in some hadith that the Mujahideen, there's 100 levels for them in Jannah. But that does not necessitate that it will be specified only to 100. There's no clear evidence to specify the amount of levels in Jannah, the amount of levels in paradise. As for the hadith, that the amount of levels in Jannah is the number of levels in Jannah is equivalent to the number of ayahs in the Qur'an, number of verses in the Qur'an. For the one who enters Jannah from the people of the Qur'an, there's no level above it. This hadith is weak and is not authentic from the Prophet ﷺ. So we say that there's no clear evidence to indicate the exact number, restrict the number to the amount of levels in paradise. But we say yes, there's levels in paradise, and there's many of it. And 100 of them are for the Mujahideen. Does not mean it's specified only to 100. Now one may ask, how many ayahs are in the Qur'an? How many verses in the Qur'an? In Abu Amr al-Dani, he says that they have consensus that the number of ayahs in the Qur'an are 6,000. As for after that, number 6,000, then they differ. Meaning 6,000 for sure, and above that they differ. And above the number 6,000, they differed amongst themselves. As for Imam Ahmad, because he says, Wali Ahmada, he is Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal. So his father's name is not Hanbal. Rather, his father's name is Muhammad, and Hanbal is his grandfather's name. But he is famous with the name Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And his kunya is Abu Abdullah. Anyone know the kunya of Shafi'i? And Malik, what was his kunya? And what was the kunya of Imam Abu Hanifa? Huh? What was the kunya of Abu Hanifa? Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah. What was his name? Nu'man ibn Thabit. So Imam Ahmad, his kunya is Abu Abdullah. He is al-Marwazi, thumma al-Baghdadi. And he was known to be the Imam of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And he was the Imam who stayed firm at the time when it was said that the Qur'an was created. And he is well known for staying firm during that fitna. And he had many books that he authored. From the greatest of that which he authored is a book called Al-Musnad. Musnad Imam Ahmad is from the greatest of that which he authored. And some of them they say that if you do not know where hadith is, and you were to say it's in Musnad Imam Ahmad, 95% chance you'll be right. So this book of hadith, it contains much hadith in it. And as a Musnad, as we mentioned before, it basically takes a Sahabi's name, and then below it comes all the hadith of that Sahabi. So that is a Musnad. He says Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he is Sa'ad ibn Malik ibn Sinan al-Khazraji al-Ansari, al-Khudri from al-Khazraj, and he is a noble Sahabi, and he is a child of a Sahabi, so his father was also a companion. On the day of Uhud, he was too young to join the battle, but he witnessed with the Prophet ﷺ 12 battles, and the first of them was the battle of Al-Khandaq. He narrated from the Prophet more than 1,000 hadith, and he was from the scholars of the Sahaba, and he passed away in the year 74 after the Hijrah. So this hadith shows us that the companion of the Qur'an will be raised in levels in the hereafter, showing the virtue of the companion of the Qur'an. Then he says, Wali Ahmada, also reported by Ahmad, from Burayda radiallahu anh marfu'an. Why is it Wali Ahmada? Wali Ahmada. For those who study Arabic, why is it not Wali Ahmadi? ممنوع من الصرف. Ahmad is ممنوع من الصرف. For that reason, Wali Ahmada. And Burayda radiallahu anh marfu'an, تعلموا سورة البقرة. So learn Surah Al-Baqarah. And he mentioned similar to that was mentioned before regarding Baqarah and Ali Imran. وَإِنَّ الْقُرْآنَ يَلْقَى صَاحِبَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ حِينَ يَنشَقُّ عَنْهُ كَبْرُهُ كَالرَّجُلِ الشَّاهِبِ. That the Qur'an will meet his companion on the day of judgment when the qabr is opened up. كَالرَّجُلِ الشَّاهِبِ. الرَّجُلِ الشَّاهِب is a pale skinned man. Is a man whose skin tone has changed, become pale. فَيَقُولُ لَهُ هَلْ تَعْرِفُنِي. He will say the Qur'an, it was to be said to this man, do you know me? Do you recognize me? He said, مَا أَعْرِفُكَ. I do not know you. فيقول أنا صاحبك القرآن الذي أذمعتك في الحواجر. I am your companion, the Quran which made you thirsty at the time of Al-Hawajir. Al-Hawajir is between the time of Dhuhr and Asr, when the heat becomes severe. That is called Al-Hawajir. So at that time he became thirsty due to his recitation of the Quran. وأسهرت ليلك. And I made you stay up at night. وإن كل تاجر من وراء تجارته. And every merchant is behind his business. His business. وَإِنَّكَ الْيَوْمِ مِنْ وَرَاءِ كُلِّ تِجَارَةٍ. and to the year behind every business dealing. فَيُعْطَى الْمُلْكِ بِيَمِينِهِ. He'll be given the kingship or the kingdom in his right hand. وَالْخُلْدِ بِشِمَالِهِ. And everlasting in his left hand. وَيُوضَعَ عَلَى رَأْسِ تَاجُ الْوَقَارِ. And he'll be placed upon his head the crown of honor. وَيُكْسَى وَالِدَاهُ حُلَّتَيْن. And his parents will be given حُلَّتَيْن. حُلَّتَيْن, as we'll come to know, is a clothing well known from Yemen. لَا يُقَوَّمُ لَهُمَا أَهْلُ الدُّنْيَا. Nothing in the dunya will be equivalent to these حُلَّتَيْن that these parents will be given. فَيَقُولَانِ بِمَا كُسِينَ هَذَا. The parents will say, why are we clothed with these two حُلَّتَيْن? فَيُقَالُ بِأَخْذِ وَالِدِكُمَا الْقُرْآنِ. Do to your child taking the Qur'an and learning it. ثُمَّ يُقَالُ لَهُ اقْرَأ وَاسْعَدْ فِي دَرَجِ الْجَنَّةِ. Read and recite and raise in the levels of Jannah. وَغُرَفِهَا. And its rooms. فَهُوَ فِي سُعُودٍ مَا دَامَ يَقْرَأ. And he'll be continually rising so long as he's reciting. حَذًّا كَانَ أَوْ تَرْتِيلًا. Whether the recitation is حَذًّا or تَرْتِيلًا. I will come to know حَذًّا and تَرْتِيلًا. This hadith is also authentic. The Shaykh mentions Hasan لغيره. So it's also authentic from the Prophet. So Buraydah radiallahu anh, he is Ibn al-Husayb. And he is a great companion from the Prophet ﷺ, who reported many hadith from him. And he died in the year 63 after the Hijrah in Khurasan. As for the hadith, وَإِنَّ الْقُرْآنِ يُلْقَى, or يَلْقَى, that the Qur'an will meet, meaning the reward of the Qur'an will meet its companion that day. حِينَ يَنْشَقُّ عَنْهُ قَبْرَهُ. When his qabr opens up. And the ajr al-Qur'an, that the reward of the Qur'an is the first thing you'll meet. So he says, how great is the companion and one who brings comfort. كَالرَّجُلِ الشَّاهِبِ, meaning a person whose skin tone has changed, become pale. فَيَقُولْ مَعْرِفُكَ, meaning that look at, in this dunya, he was one who used to search for the Qur'an and recite it. And on that day, the Qur'an will search for him. So his companion will stay with him. Al-Hawaj, as we mentioned, is the middle of the day, after the sun passes the zenith, to the time of Asr, when the heat is severe. وَأَسْحَرَتُ لَيْلَكَ, and I made you stay up at night, as cousin of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, لَا حَسْرَ إِلَّا فِي اثْنَتَيْن. There is no envy except in two things. One of them was رَجْعَ أَتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْقُرْآنِ فَقَامَ بِهِ آنَاءَ اللَّيْلِ وَآنَاءَ النَّهَارِ. And he recites and stands with the Qur'an in the day and the night. Tijara, a business dealing, أعظم tijara, is the greatest business dealing, because it will not come to any loss. You will not have any loss, it will never end. As Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Indeed, those who truly fear Allah from His slaves are the scholars. إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ غَفُورٌ. That indeed Allah is the honorable, great, and Ghafoor, the all-forgiving. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ. Those who recite the book of Allah, وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and establish the prayer, وَأَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. And they spend from their wealth that which you provided them, سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً, hiddenly and openly, يَرْجُونَ تِجَارَةً لَنْ تَبُورَ. They hope in a business deal which will never come to an end, no loss. So at-tijara bil-Qur'an means to memorize it and recite it and act in accordance to it and make da'wah, calling to it. And not by merely, as many of the people, they do not, just seeking wealth from it. Seeking wealth from it. Many people nowadays, unfortunately, they've made the Qur'an a business. They will not teach the Qur'an unless you pay a certain amount. And this is not right. So the Qur'an, tijara bil-Qur'an, does not mean that you make it a business. Rather, it means that you recite it and you memorize it and you act in accordance and you call to it. فَيُعْطَى الْمُلْكِ بِيَمِينِهِ. He'll be given the mulk in his right hand and al-khuld bishimale. Imam al-Baghawi mentioned, it does not mean that he'll be given it to it. He'll be given it in his right and his left. What it means rather is that a person who is given kingship or a kingdom or everlasting is a person as if he possesses in his hand. Not mean that will be given in his hand, that he'll have it in his hand. It just means that he'll be given it. And a person who possesses something is as if his hand possesses it. So that is what is intended. وَيُوضَعَ عَلَى رَأْسِ تَاجُ الْوَقَارِ. And he'll be given this great crown on his head. And it comes in some narration, مِثْلُ ضَوْءِ الشَّمْسِ. It will be so bright, such as the rays of the sun. Such as the brightness of the sun. So the Shaykh, he says, مَا أَزْهَدُ النَّاسِ بِأُجُورِ الْآخِرَةِ. How aesthetic are the people in regards to the rewards of the hereafter. وَمَا أَرْغَبُهُمْ فِي أُجُورِ الدُّنْيَا. And they are so desiring in the rewards of the dunya. وَيُكْسَى وَالِدَاهُ. And his parents will be given these hullatain, meaning if they're Muslims. If his parents are Muslim, they'll be given these hullatain, which is known as a clothing from Yemen. Haddan means reciting with some speed, reciting fast. Reciting fast is called haddan. As for tartilan, meaning reciting slowly and calmly. Now the Qur'an is recited three different ways. One is at-tahqiq, the other one is al-hadr, and the other one is at-tadwir. As for at-tahqiq, then it is to give everything its due right and go a bit extreme in regards to that. To give everything its due right, not having deficiency in the recitation. And from those who are well known with this kind of recitation is Al-Husari. He is well known for this form of recitation. As for at-tahqiq, then it is known that it is a recitation that one does at the time of teaching, so that the student can learn the Qur'an properly. Now the difference between tahqiq and tartil is that tartil is similar to it, but is not as strict in regards to following the rules. Rather, it's a recitation that you do with slowly and following all the rules, but you do it litadabbur, to ponder over the Qur'an. To ponder over the Qur'an. As for al-hadr, then it is a bit faster recitation, which is a bit lighter in following the rules. And it is the opposite of at-tahqiq. As for at-tadwir, then it is between the two. It is between the two, at-tahqiq and at-tadwir. So this hadith is clear in regards to the virtue of the Qur'an and the reward that his companion will have. And the reward this companion will have and the one who carries it. Whereas on that day, the Qur'an will search for his companion, the one who used to recite and memorize it in the dunya. And the last hadith which is mentioned in this chapter is from Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, Ahlul Qur'an hum ahlullah wa khasatuh. The people of the Qur'an are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those specific to him. Now Anas ibn Malik, what is his kunya? Abu Hamza. And how many years was he a servant of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? 10 years. So he's Abu Hamza Anas ibn Malik Al-Ansari Al-Khazraji, servant of the Prophet ﷺ, and he served him for 10 years. And he reported also more than 1,000 narrations from the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet made dua for him to increase him in his wealth and his children, and to make him from those who enter Jannah. He died in the year 93 or 94, after passing the age of 100. Ahlul Qur'an, meaning those who memorize it, and those who act in accordance with it, and those who recite it often. And those who recite it often. Hum ahlullah, mean they're the friends of Allah, those who Allah loves and aids them and supports them. Wa khasatuh, mean those are specific to Him. And this is basically out of honor for them. Out of honor for them, that they are considered khasatuh. And this clearly shows the virtue of the Qur'an and the virtue of the people who memorize the Qur'an and act in accordance to it. As for the reporter of this hadith is Imam Ahmad and An-Nasa'i. As for An-Nasa'i is Abu Abdurrahman Ahmad ibn Shu'ayb ibn Ali An-Nasa'i. He was also from those who memorize hadith and trustworthy. And he is from those who has, what book does he have he's famous with? And is there one form or two forms to it? Two, what are they? Al-Sughra and Al-Kubra. So the small one and the larger one. So he's well known with these two books and other books. He was born in the year 215 and he passed away in the year 303 in Palestine. 303 in Palestine. And some of them said he passed away in Mecca. So this chapter that we just took, it is considered as a opening for regarding the virtue of the Qur'an and the virtue of learning it and teaching it to others. And that is that the person who is considered from the companions of the Qur'an, no one is put forth in front of him. And he is not put forth except that he is from the companions of the Qur'an, not due to his handsomeness, or due to him being from a certain lineage, or due to him being from a certain village, or due to him having lots of wealth, or his condition being good. For as we know that many scholars' condition was not good, physically. But Allah raised their status due to that which they had from the Qur'an. And they were honored due to them learning the Qur'an and teaching it to others. So it does not matter what your physical form is, or what your color is, of the skin tone you have, or your physical appearance, or how much wealth you have and how much you don't have. That nothing matters in the sight of Allah except that in the case that is piety. And in the case that you memorize the Qur'an, you're from the companions of the Qur'an, you'll be raised. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Inna Allah yarfa' bi hadha kitabi aqwama yadhu bil akhirin, is proof of this. That Allah raised by this Qur'an a people and He will drop by it others. And anyone know the story behind that hadith? Yes. Anyone know the name of that slave? Ibn Abi Abza. And he said, huwa qari al-Qur'an. That he is a reciter of the Qur'an, he knows fara'id, he knows inheritance. So for that reason, he left him behind to take over the Wadi, meaning Mecca. So Allah raises people in status by the Qur'an. So if you want to be raised in status, then be from those who are from the companions of the Qur'an, hifdhan, memorizing it, acting according to it, and reciting it often. It does not mean that you memorize it and you're considered from the companions of the Qur'an, and you do not act according to any command or prohibition which is mentioned in the Qur'an. And it's sad that you find this often nowadays from those who are put forth in many times leading Taraweeh, or many times being from those who are the awam they look up to, just merely based upon his beautiful voice and his memorization. And if you're to look at his situation, it's not from the companions of the Qur'an, because he does not act in accordance to it. He opposes the commands and the prohibitions of it. So not merely that you memorized it and your recitation is beautiful with it, for the one whose recitation is not good at all, in the sense that it's not beautiful, but he follows the rules and does not make mistakes which change the meaning, and he acts in accordance to the Qur'an, is better than the one who has the best voice out there and is not acting in accordance to the Qur'an. So you find many brothers, they get put off by the awam because they say to him, your Qur'an is no good. Meaning your recitation is not beautiful, does not cause us, it does not make us feel good with your recitation, meaning it's not the best of it. But they put forward someone who does not act in accordance to the Qur'an, merely because the recitation is the best. So acting in accordance to the Qur'an is what is important. For that is what will raise you in status, and not merely memorizing it and just reading it. If there's any question, we'll take it now. But we'll continue inshallah next week with the new chapter, which is Bab ma jaa fi taqdeem ahli al-Qur'an wa ikramihim. That which is coming in regard to putting forth the people of the Qur'an and honoring them. Yes.
Is it true that the Sahabi Abdullaah ibn Amr was only like 10 or 12 years older than his father?
Yes, it's true. He was only a small age, a small number of years older than his father, Amr ibn As. Any other question? Yes. There's a lot of books written in Fadaa'il Al-Qur'aan. As you mentioned, some of them, they specified specific books. From the first, Abu Qasim ibn Salam, Al-Qasim ibn Salam, he was from the first who wrote in regards to it. And other than them, and other scholars, what they did was they put it within their books of hadith. They have chapters or books, Fadaa'il Al-Qur'aan, such as Imam Al-Bukhari, rahimahullah, and other than them. So there's many books in regards to Fadaa'il Al-Qur'aan that have been written. And the reason why we chose this one, due to its being summarized, and it's merely a hadith and ayat mentioned in this book. Yes. What do you mean by times he's reading it? Oh, the hawajir. No, generally, the Qur'an is read at all times. But the companion of the Qur'an, the one who is truly with the Qur'an, he reads it at all times. So it means that this person is with the Qur'an, he's constantly reading it, day and night. Ana al-layl wa ana an-nahar. In the day and the night time. But it does not mean that you specify those times. But the companion of the Qur'an, he doesn't leave the Qur'an alone, he's constantly with it. Whether he's listening to it, whether he's reciting it, whether he's memorizing it. Any other questions? Inshallah, we'll stop with this and let Brother Faisal discuss.